There's a lot of footwork you have to do in terms of realising what your festival and marketing strategy is going to be right from the start. It's not a good idea to think about it once the film is finished, so that's something that has to happen really early on in the process. Should you decide, as a filmmaker, as a producer, or a sales agent, should you decide that this film should be entered for the Berlinale, then you have to decide to which section of the festival you would like to go. So it's a step-by-step thing. There's a lot of information online where you can get a handle on, as long as you know your film and you have the right expectations and the right desires for your film, and you try and find the best fit section-wise. You can enter it for more than one section, that's no problem. We as a festival can do a lot more for a fresh film than we can for one that's been to festivals around the place, and that's very strictly maintained for competition, of course, because we are governed by a body called FIAP, who says you're an A-list festival if you pertain to these regulations. So we have to be very clear about that. Panorama Forum Generation take European premiere, that's our bottom line. So an Australian film that has not been screened anywhere in Europe or at a festival in Europe can be considered for our festival. Having said that, if that Australian film has done Toronto, Busan, another festival somewhere outside of Europe, the chances become less with every selection for another festival and with every screening in another country or some kind of release. So, but we do. I mean, we do take European premieres, and if we love a film and we really want to have it in the program. So, another advice I would give is, be aware of the premiere status of the film, but it's also deadlines. Our deadline for feature films is end of this month, end of October, beginning of November. For short films, it's middle of November. So entering means online, getting the entry form in on time. What happens at this stage before the deadlines is a filmmaker or a producer will come to us and say, look, I have an invitation for Venice, or I have an invitation for Rome, or I have an invitation for Rotterdam. They need to know by tomorrow. I'd love to have a crack at Berlin, so can you look at it tonight and give me an answer? It's a really hard situation. Often we can't react so immediately, but sometimes we do. If we really, really, really like a film, we might say, we want it. We want it for one program or the other. So in that case, we give the producer or whoever has entered the film or is dealing with the other festivals a chance to withdraw it from that festival. We don't like to do festival grabbing because we maintain a really, really good relationship with all of the festivals that we are dealing with on our level, and there is a cut-off line for us. If they've gone to print, if they've announced their program, there's no way we're going to say withdraw your film from their program. So it's all about, there's a lot of festival politics in there, but as I say, the more a film has been seen and exposed, actually the less interest the sales agents have got when they come to Berlin with the film to really push it, to give it the profile, to give it the push that it needs to have a big exposure. So that's in my experience. When we invite a film, we want the talents to come, we want the director to be there, we want, we are able to provide a big platform for the press, but if there's a rather tired sales agent who's done a lot of work with the film already, they're less likely to say, oh, okay, we're on board. And the festival does pay for some accommodation for the team, but it's up to the sales agents and the producers too, then, and the agencies, unfortunately. People who pitch their films to me, of course they've made a film. I have great respect for it. They've made a film. For every filmmaker, they invest so much personally, money, dreams, abilities, all time into that making of that film. So I have great respect for that. But I do know that the pitch of the film is, I just have to see the film. The pitch is good. It's really good to meet the people and to talk, but in the end, and that's what all the selectors in Berlin would say, we need to see the film. You shouldn't keep selectors guessing that the temporary music is a bit like in some of the places, like it's going to be. We can live with ungraded. We can live with a few missing special effects, but you've got one chance when you've got your film in Berlin. With me, you've got more of a chance because I can, I'm looking in the pre-selection level. But once you get your film to Berlin, you've got one chance, one hit. And you have to be very confident in the film that you're sending in. So in terms of communication with our festival, you have to be aware the deadline for the entry is for a feature film. It's the end of this month, beginning of November. You must indicate when we're going to get a screener. If you say, well, I won't have anything for you to watch until the beginning of December, that's okay, as long as we know it's coming. But if it's like the beginning of January, we might say, that's really tricky, but then we get kind of a correspondence. What would you have for us by the beginning of December? There's a certain cut-off.